Hello friends, Adam here with FED. We got some more Fire Emblem Engage gameplay footage, and it's still looking good. I'm still excited for it. And this time it is starring Framme, the punchy healer person. So it's going to be some good information that we gained from this gameplay footage that I'm excited to share with you guys. But as always, we'll start by watching it together, and then we'll analyze. All right, I love that, you know, it's only 14 seconds, but we learned so much, and it's so cool that way. All these little gameplay snippets they're showing, all the stuff they're showing is not on accident. I guarantee they show different things every time. It's really cool. I'm a big fan of how they're handling this so far. All right, so let's analyze this, but before we do, please consider subscribing. Help us reach 25,000 subs. It would mean a lot. We're trying to get there before the end of the year, so please subscribe if you have already. Thank you so much. And now let's actually do what we're gonna do. Okay, even just the starting screen, we learned quite a bit. So we see some engagements have happened. We see that Alfred is engaged with Sigurd and Celine is engaged with Celica. We also see that Alir isn't engaged with Marth. We can see that the bars or the circles, it seem like sort of like transformation gauges maybe, around those who are engaged and those who aren't engaged look different. So I think pretty obvious that this is going to be some sort of ticker or countdown. You can see that there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little bars around Marth's portrait. So I wonder if that means like 7 turns of engage you can use, which seems kind of like a lot if it's like really overpowered, but maybe the game will be balanced around having engage most of the time. But we'll see for that. But yeah, so I think that's definitely some bar, some gauge for transformation. We also don't see the Mage Boy clan, or Framme as some are calling him now, because, you know, he's the twin of Framme, so it makes sense that they have like matching names, right? We don't see him on this map here, which I guess just means there wasn't deployment slots for him. And I even looked at the mini map. I don't see any blue circles that could be him. He's just not here, which is odd, because this seems like a pretty early game map to me that would have enough room for every unit you had at this point. So maybe there's a paralog or something that you can do at this point that gets you the Axe Boy, or maybe the Archer Lady or something like that, or maybe Lewis, the Armor Knight, that makes it so you like take a place, kind of like Mozu in Fire Emblem Fates, where you can recruit her really early, and makes it so that if you want to use her, she has to take up someone else's deployment slot in a couple of the really early chapters. So it might be something like that. So I don't know why he isn't here, but he isn't. All right, now to the like really interesting stuff. I think this is like the meat of the trailer here. This footage. If we look at Framme going to attack this guy, right? He has the little the circle with the cross through it, which is on his bow. Let's see if we can. There's a better shot of it. It's easier to see on the green. He has the red circle crossed out thing over his bow icon when Framme is selected, similar to what we saw with like Vander when he was going to attack a lance person. So this like stands to reason that there is and hear me out here, there is a second physical weapon triangle of sorts. And if you look closely, they look like they're the same color, but like it's just kind of gray. But if you look closely, you can see that the fist weapon type, or gauntlets, or whatever it's going to be called, that Framme has equipped, the little icon is yellow, whereas bows are gray. If you look you have to look pretty closely to see it. They look really similar, but it's definitely 2 distinctly different colors. And I think that just either indicates that they will be effective against each other, which I could see that being the case. I could see them being effective against each other, or there is a third weapon that'll be added in that we haven't seen to this weapon triangle that is separate from the normal lance, sword, axe weapon triangle. And if they added anything, I would think it would be like hidden weapons, like in Fates, you know, the shuriken and the daggers and those. I think that would work really well. I think like those being effective against punchy people would make a lot of sense, because it's like you brought your fist to a knife fight or whatever, you know the saying is you bring a knife to a gunfight, but like, you know, like bring it down one more notch. So That would make sense to me, but I could also see it being just like they're effective against each other, which I'd be fine with. That's a cool gimmick and mechanic. So it looks like there's going to be a second weapon triangle of sorts, and I think that's cool. And that's how breaks are. I'm 100% convinced now that that's how breaks work. So we get to see her on this screen. It says that she's going to break him, and then she does her flashy critical animation and kicks his face off, you know, like super hard. Awesome, very cool animation. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the animations of this game so far. But we get a break here, and then the archer drops their weapon and then shoots back up really quickly back to their feet, but they don't pick up their weapon. I think this is confirmation here for me. As long as it's showing correctly. I think breaks are either going to break the opponent's weapon, which seems a little hardcore, especially if the enemy can break you. I don't know if that'll be the case if they can break your weapon, or if it's going to be like disarm in the Tellius games, where when disarm activated in Radiant Dawn, the enemy just unequip their weapon. So for the rest of your player phase, they didn't have anything equipped, but then on enemy phase, they would just re-equip their weapon, right? And that honestly was really, I would love that to be like a main gameplay mechanic rather than just like a one-off skill that had some very niche uses. It'd be really cool to see that here. And I'm sorry, there's some construction outside. There's just no way around it. It's been constant all day, so bear with me on that. Anyways, I think it's pretty obvious that a break is going to mean, oh, they are unequipped, their weapon, they don't have a weapon. I think that is, I think that's actually a pretty fun way to work the weapon triangle into this. I'd actually really be okay if that's all they did. We have, this is like I think this is our first time really confirming the durability status in this game. So weapons aren't going to have durability, but staffs are, just like Fates. And I'm all for that personally. I think that's going to be, I love that, how that works in Fates. I don't think a whole lot is added by having weapons break, outside of a few like really overpowered ones. I think it's really annoying to have like your iron weapons and your steel weapons break. That's just like pointless to me. However, I'm worried that they are going to do what they do in Fates, where, you know, like silver weapons, it's like, oh, well, you used a silver weapon this turn, you lose 4 strength until next turn, or whatever the debuff is, you know, which is like kind of annoying, but also I think it made Fates a bit more interesting in weapon choice and all that. So I think I'm all for this kind of thing. And again, the stabs have to have some sort of durability, because that would just kind of be overpowered, or else they couldn't include things like warp or rescue or silence or anything along those lines. So yeah, we have weapon durability. Cool. And this is definitely, we have a new weapon type. Essentially, I think it's essentially gauntlets, but it does act differently, oddly, in that this green one here, I don't really know what it says in Japanese. I'm assuming we know that this orange one is iron body art. That's what she uses in the direct trailer. So this green one, I don't know if it's like bronze body art or leather body art or something along those lines. But she doesn't get a brave effect from this green weapon. She doesn't get a brave effect from this green weapon. We can see it here. She doesn't get a brave effect. No, there's no 5 times 2. It's just 5. But we clearly saw in the direct trailer that this orange one, iron body art, gave her the doubling effect, right? Gave her the brave effect, like gauntlets did in 3 Houses. Now this makes me think that everyone is going to have, similar to Echoes, and Fire Emblem Echoes, everyone had, every class just kind of had a base weapon that if you didn't have a weapon equipped, you still used just like a sword. Like I think it was literally just called like sword if you were a sword class, or if you were, you know, bow class. If you were an archer, it was just bow. If you were a cavalier, it was just lance. And it was just a basic thing. Didn't add any stats, but it still allowed you to attack even without being equipped. I think it's going to be similar to that, where there are regular weapons that aren't very strong or good, but are always there. Like no matter what, they're always available. And then the more powerful weapons with like actual effects and things, you'll have to find along the way, like iron body art, which I'm for. It could be cool. Could be cool. And I think it's pretty obvious that this is a heal staff. I can't imagine what else it would be this early in the game. So yeah, so we see the break and all that. So I think that's a lot of really cool combat implications that we've seen in this trailer. Final thing I want to point out is Framme's skill. She, in the bottom right corner, you can see her little pink personal skill there. And if you remember, it looks a lot very similar to Vander's and very similar to Framme or Clan's personal skill, where it has like it's like just like a pretty monochromatic with the, you know, it's like pink with this, and like Vander's is like silvery color with the star. They all have the star thing. So I think her skill will have something to do, similar to Vander and Framme. It'll have something to do with being near Alear. Either it'll buff Alear or it'll buff herself. If I had to guess, this is going to be like Felicia's skill from Fire Emblem Fates, where it added, I believe Felicia added avoid and defense to Corrin. That's just what I would guess based on what I'm seeing. It's a total guess, but I don't know, it just makes sense in my head. But yeah, so we learned a lot from this, a lot of really cool things. I think the coolest thing that we learned is the confirmation of how breaks work, that it is like a weapon triangle thing. Well, I guess not confirmation, but like it just makes more sense now. And that there is going to be another weapon triangle, whether it's just not a triangle and it's just the two weapons, or if there's going to be a third one that's added in, or maybe tomes fit into this weapon triangle in some way. I like that a lot better than what they did in Fates, where they just kind of grouped things together in colors rather than having things have their own individual effectivenesses. So I'm a big fan of that. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this trailer, I believe. If I missed anything, or if you can read Japanese and tell me what some of these things say, some of these menu options, like here, I'm assuming it's obviously the top one's like attack, and maybe one of the other ones is like combat art or something, an item, but I don't know. I'm curious what these menu options are. If you know, please tell me. And also, I'd love to know the name of this green body art weapon, if you wouldn't mind. Again, I wish I knew, I wish I could read Japanese, but I would love to hear what you guys had to say. I did ask someone to look at it for me, but I would love to get a second opinion. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Again, subscribe, help us reach 25,000 subs by the end of the year. Really appreciate it. Please like the video, and again, comment your thoughts. Thanks for watching, friends.